And we're live. On the Twitch. It's on the TV. / the Xisuma. Oh, feels good to say that. Here it is, stream time. 2 hours to turn off and tune out. All is good with the world in these 2 hours that we send together. Talking is not good right now. My brain is frazzled, peeps. I have been so stressed out the last few days, although it's something that's been building up for a while. I don't really recall if I talked about what I've been up to at all in these streams. I don't think I need anything where we're going. We just need to hang out. That's what we need to do today. Let's head off. Extreme Gunslinger! Welcome to the stream. Your name is Grey. I kind of don't recall seeing a name with a grey colour like that in chat before. It just caught my eye. I was like, huh. So, I am in need of venting, de-stressing, decompressing, and getting things off my chest. So at some point when people have tuned in, I'm going to have a right old waffle about what I've been up to. And with all these, with this stress that I've been going through that's sort of just manifested, unfolded in a particular way, I've gotten injuries, which I think are probably related to this stress now that I think about it. So that's kind of interesting. And it's also affected how I've been making videos. Like, I have a problem with derping where I don't think things through enough. And I just made an absolute colossal calamity of a derp the other day. During the heat wave, you know, fighting the clock, trying to get stuff done, even though I told myself that I would take the time off. Yeah, this is not going where I needed to go. Let's return. And I did something that I learned, luckily, earlier in the season was a terrible idea. And then I forgot that it was a terrible idea. And actually did it. I did the terrible thing. Let's go check out the terrible thing. Sounds like a normal X, says 4Gil. Yeah, I derp a lot, but I've really been under it. It's totally like unfolded. Like, you can subconsciously carry stresses and not really identify with them. And I just had some things happen that really just like totally unfolded them. So this down here is me trying to make another video, trying to get the things done right, grinding away for hours to upgrade my slime farm to have a bunch of portals here. Now, why would I do that? Because Genius X, the slimes will go straight into the portals, right? Problem with that is they also emit light and block the slimes from spawning. So currently, no slimes spawn here. We're also out of range at the haste beacon. Dang. So yeah, so like I was really like overworked. It was a heat wave, it was really hot. I just, you know, sometimes I get frustrated, sometimes I get angry or annoyed, right? That would be my main reaction to like that kind of facepalm, but I didn't feel any of that. I just felt completely numb. I was just like, oh, like I couldn't even process it. It was just like, oh, okay, that's like my entire afternoon gone. Spent ages mining all of this obsidian. Right, so if I wander back here, I can get the haste for like 12 seconds. And then by the time I'm down here... Ah, so loud. There's another idea. So going back and forth ain't too great, but I've had beacons in the area before. Let's go reinstate a beacon. Let's try that. Hey, Fergbug! Thank you for subscribing. It is appreciated. Carl's Doom gifting a sub to Wavia Paradox. Thank you so much. And Janik has joined us on Patreon, which is a great way to join the Let's Play Minecraft Together community. Now, peeps, I've put together a new Be Right Back screen for when I will be right back. I'm actually here right now, haven't gone anywhere. This will show off some screenshots from our amazing server, which Janik has now joined through Patreon. There are other ways to join as well, some that are instant, xisumavoid.com/getwhitelisted. Yeah, so we're still working on this. It'll get tweaked and changed, but I'll be able to hit that button and show off some of the amazing builds of a slideshow. Very cool, right? We're going to leave it on there for a moment longer. We're 5 minutes into the stream, too hot for my cup of tea, but I can grab a little bit of water and do some hydration, right? Here's a question. Does the hydrate animation appear above the Be Right Back screen? We're about to find out. It does! Miracles! Miracles. Anyway, if you're a part of the Let's Play Minecraft Together community, we're going to get more screenshots. I would love it for the people that make these builds to be in the screenshots themselves. We'll put your names on the screenshots and we'll try and have a part of this stream that is dedicated to that, you know? Like, if I need to go somewhere or even just if I need to talk for a minute, we'll throw that up. I think the slideshow feature is really cool and I might expand it to include a few other things too. Like maybe having several different types of slideshow. So I can refer to something. Like sometimes someone asks, you know, what's Hermitcraft? I could show them a bunch of screenshots. You know? Using the brain stuff. Brain smarts, that's the one. Okay, so one of these has beacons in. There we go. That'll be beacon number 3 in the base. Much better, much smarter use of our time, right? Enderbram, 14 months with the Amazon Prime. Thank you so much. Forgil says that my hotbar is cut off. It is a tiny bit. There we go. Wait, which one did I read out? I've forgotten. It was Enderbram. Mercurajaya K. Thank you for 2 months of support. I probably butchered your name. I probably butchered it, didn't I? Okay, so we'll block this off here. And now we have haste. Just doing things the smart way. Let's get rid of all of these... Extreme Gunslinger says, Xisuma, how do you get the motivation to do big projects and knowing how to design builds without looking poop? I've been playing this game a long time. And the things that you've asked about, like being able to build good and whatnot, takes time. It's a muscle that you've got to build and flex, you know. I haven't been flexing the building muscle lately. I've noticed that I'm really drawn to redstone at the moment and I'm trying to embrace that. So my building is a bit poopy at the moment, which is why I haven't been doing as much. As for motivation, I don't believe, you know, I believe that motivation is a thing, but I don't believe you start with motivation. Because motivation comes and goes. This is really loud and annoying, I know. So we'll get it done with and then it'll be done, right? Hi X, how are you? Says Mumbai Biona. I'm in need of therapy and live streaming is my therapy. All is good in the world when you're doing a stream. Gah. I find motivation comes from making a good build, says Nella. Exactly. So like, you start with the action, right? Or maybe you start with the inspiration. But then when you get through that good build, you're very motivated because you've seen the outcome of your action. It's about taking the action. Is the stream title serious? Yeah, it is. It really is. I still feel this stress and I'm not sure how it's going to go away. But I'll explain all that's going on in a moment. But in general, I've been not so great. And the stress has really like added up and I felt it today with my workouts. Like I just feel a bit more sore than usual. And I was just looking back on like the previous month where I was bulking, and like everything was, you know, I was sleeping more. I was more relaxed. You know, I'm not even working out as hard, and my muscles were feeling sore. And it's just stress. It's the, you know, stress is a physical response in your body. I can feel it physically. I'm quite tuned in to sensations in my body. You know, so Messiah Kitty says X is the therapy. I'm aware some of y'all see this like that, and I see it the other way around. Y'all are my therapy a lot of the time. Pixel says inspiration, action, motivation. That's how my mind works as of now. Pixel, here's what you got to realize, okay? It's a loop where motivation points into inspiration. If you think of it like a circle, you get to start at any point in that circle, alright? You know what inspiration feels like, you know what motivation feels like, and you know how to take action. What's the one thing that you can control is taking action. Motivation and inspiration, they come and go, right? They're great things, and we need them to get stuff done. But when you have inspiration and motivation, it doesn't matter unless you take action, right? So they are all intrinsically like linked to one another, and you want to think about it like that. You want to think about it like, I can take actions, and then the others will follow. You know? Right, that tea is looking awfully tempting now at 11 minutes. Let's pick up the rest of these slabs and then I'll drink it. Drink it like a trinket, what? That sucks a lot. In bouts of stress and other things like that can sometimes happen. I hope it passes soon, X. Yeah, it's a weird one because I just got some news off the phone a couple of hours ago that changed everything again, and I'm not sure it changed it for the better. It might have changed things like in a bit of a what if kind of way. But we're gonna leave it. I'm gonna wait until more peeps are tuned in, just because you know, everyone's still tuning in. It's early, and you know, you're having a waffle, and loads of people are asking what on earth you're talking about. So we'll wait until peeps are tuned in. Cool. I think what I'll do. If I put that in my offhand, okay, that's really all I need. Now I can actually see where I'm mining. So what's been on your mind, X's Shinny? Oh, you're prodding, you're poking. We'll get to it, trust. We will get to it. I love how full stone blocks are instant mine with haste 2, while half blocks aren't. Yep. Minecraft logic, right? Raving Platypie, thank you for 7 months of support, my dude. Very much appreciated. And I hope you're enjoying the stream. Thanks so much, X. I really struggle with changing my view on things, but listening to how you explain things makes it much easier for me. Yeah, when it comes to views, always listen to people with a different view. Alright, and take them seriously as well. You don't have to change your mind, you don't have to commit to anything, but it's important to understand one another, because sometimes, you know, other people have wisdoms and ideas that you don't see yourself in the world. Oh, that is a good cup of tea. Ah! The golem rectum! How did that start there? Oh, I guess it spawned, stood around for too long, and the iron golem got it. What's the tool on hotkey 1? That is my mighty axe. It's the bone mage's axe, actually. I need to rename my tools. I'm a bone mage now. I've retired as a doom guy. X, do you get your thyroid and vitamins checked? Sometimes they can cause stress and other stuff. Essentially when nothing is stressful added to your life. Oh, believe me, I've had stress added to my life. I've wanted to, and I started trying to get the blood check stuff done during the pandemic, and that made it like really difficult, and I should totally chase that up again. It'll be another thing on the list, which is part of what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to put that back on my to-do list because I wanted to do just... I don't know if I'm going to be someone who gets like regular blood checks or whatever, but I just wanted to do one and get some information, you know. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff says, I hope the pushback from the 1.19.1 update comments hasn't been dragging you down. That, I believe, is probably the beginning of all of this, like subtle stresses, because my first injury came not long after that stuff went down. It gets to me, and every time I open up my comments and read them now, it's migrated to this crowd that's further away. Like, you can tell by the nature of the comments that people are like really disconnected from who I am and what my channel is, and because of that, you tend to get these hot takes that are more of a takedown. Like, the comment goes from being at me and about what I'm saying to more of like a, you know, like just a total disconnected takedown. I've noticed that, like, in the world of online hot takes on stuff, and when I say hot takes, I'm talking about how social media, the nature of communication, tends to like confine things to a short statement. Like, you know, Twitter has 240 characters, so people kind of push all of the nuance out of their viewpoint and take a hard stance on something. So I'm seeing more of those types of hot takes, where it's just boiled down to, this guy's a complete idiot, he's a shill for Microsoft. I don't know how to say it. I will hold up my hand though and say, I did not make a great video. I am new to this script writing stuff, and I was definitely excited. I was really excited making the whole of that video, to the point where I'd kind of lost sight of what I was originally trying to do, and hadn't anticipated what other people might say. I kind of went into that expecting everyone's come here to be, I'm going to listen to both sides and take it all with a pinch of salt and then make up my own mind kind of approach. And that's not what people do, especially about this topic. So, you know, there is a statement I make, and again, this is the script writing and me not really like putting enough time, I guess, into it. Maybe, you know, it's a learning curve. I'm new to this, but anyway, I sort of said, you know, Microsoft has dedicated teams of professionals dedicated to the moderating, and what I was supposed to say and kind of just lost sight of with the script was like, we don't know, it could be that there are big teams. And by reading my comments, I've seen so many assumptions about what there is. Some people are saying that, you know, moderating teams are the most underpaid, worst professionals, and, you know, they do things out of spite. And there's just so many assumptions about what they are. Some people thought they were bots that were going to do the moderating, and that's officially been stated not to be true. So I see all of that in the comments, but, you know, I put my foot in it by saying that it would be good. And it kind of looks like that they've actually put together teams of people, and, you know, they're obviously going to say themselves that they want them to be good, professional. But if that's the intent of Mojang and Microsoft, to make a good professional team of moderators, I don't see why they couldn't pull that off to some extent. Now, when I see like pushback against that idea, it also is often held with an acceptance of moderation teams on private servers. Like, we're saying we don't want global moderation, but private moderation is okay. And, you know, private moderation is different wherever you go. It can be good, it can be bad. And centralized moderation obviously has a greater risk of it. If it's bad everywhere. Right? I'm not trying to tell you it's one way or the other, but all of these ideas and opinions, they're always more nuanced, more detailed, and require more thought. And my video did just not do a good job of expressing that. Carls of Doom says, I wish the outrage people would direct the outrage towards the people responsible and not creators, and to shout at each other doesn't help anything. I mostly agree, but, you know, some people see it like I'm a shill, which I've heard that term so many times, and then when it's thrown at you, I'm like, what does that actually mean? You can't escape bias in life, right? There's this idea, bias is the problem with other people. Bias is, you know, over there. They're the ones getting it wrong, not me. You got to see bias as part of everything, right? Like, nothing's truly neutral. Everyone's influenced by different ideas, different thoughts, different information, and we come out with different conclusions. That is the bias. Doofan Squid, thank you for 4 months. Appreciate it, my dude. We obviously want to try and eliminate this bias, right? So my bias, you know, I'm going to have generally warmer feelings towards Microsoft and Mojang, because the way in which they've handled their relationship with creators. They create, in Minecraft is the game, you may not know this, it's been around a long time. Minecraft is the game that changed the landscape of media to allow people like myself to do what we do. Okay, it was sort of coming around, and then Minecraft was the game. Notch, the creator of it, said, do what you want with the game, make videos on it, make money out of those videos, I don't care. And that helped change the attitude of an entire industry. So I will be favorable to that, you know, and I feel like Mojang, where it is now, have always carried on that spirit of working with creators. I'm also very close to what happens around this game because I cover the updates, and I feel like that gives me maybe a bit more detailed sense of like what's happening there. So I find it very difficult to buy into these big ideas of like evil Microsoft wants to moderate the game and ruin it for everyone, you know, like it's business. Like, they're making business decisions up there, and then those decisions get filtered down here through the developers. Some of the developers get hate over this stuff. It's like, a game developer develops the game. They're not trying to, you know, oh, what the game really needs is moderation features. That's a top-down decision. That's a corporate decision coming down the ladder right there. So anyway, this all started off with like, you know, has it affected me? Yeah, this kind of feedback has affected me. I'm hoping it will give me the tools though to make better videos when this type of controversy comes along again. We've also seen information come to light that, you know, some of the points I was trying to make in my video are there. Now, here's another thing about moderation, is that a lot of people haven't experienced the other side of it, which is seeing abuse inside of a community, seeing predatory behavior. I have seen this stuff and I have horror stories about it, and there might be a time where I say something about one of these horror stories because, well, oh god, I'm telling you, it gives me shivers now, because there's a part of it that's vaguely funny, it's also cruel, but then I just remembered some of the other things this person did and it gives me shivers. Like, I've seen people come into communities that are dangerous people for other people to be around, okay? And you kind of don't want to tell these stories because the way to deal with them is to stop them from happening, and then you don't talk about it. I don't know why you don't talk about it, but you just don't. Some of my mods in chat who have maybe been around from back in the days of XPD might remember a certain figure who did some terrible stuff in our community, and like, we don't talk about this. Occasionally we'll bring it up with one another and just be like, oh god, thank god that's all over. But like, Microsoft can't come out and go, look at what our moderation system did. It protected this person from this predator and these people from this abuse. And I think if you heard more of those stories and had an understanding of how damaging they can be, and if they happen more frequently, you might start to see why there is a positive side to this. It's not all in one corner or the other. There are multiple sides to this, you know? And oh, these horror stories, man, like they give me shivers. Like, I don't think I will. There's a humorous component to one of the stories, but it's actually really gross. But again, I've seen this stuff because I've been adjacent to moderators within a community and understand the things that they do. So there is going to be good that comes out of this system. People will be protected, and I feel like a lot of things in life are a trade-off. I believe really strongly in free speech, but are we free to, you know, run into a crowded room and shout fire and cause a stampede and people get hurt? You know, I think when it comes to expressing political opinions, that there should be spaces for this. There should be places you can go. I really don't feel like Minecraft is a place where you put the flag in the hill of free speech and defend it no matter what. It feels to me like it's got a audience of vulnerable people, a large audience of younger people, and protecting them is a worthy cause in exchange for some restriction on what can be said. That's my take on it, you know? That's how I feel. I don't want to take away someone's free speech, but I can see the trade-off here, you know? Freedom of speech, not freedom from consequence. Yeah, essentially, that's another elegant way of putting it together, right? Shinny says, and also, in my personal opinion, moderated communities are super nice. I think most people have been in some kind of chat room without moderation, and they are fun for a second, but they can be super dangerous, especially for younger peeps. Yeah, but I would say, Shinny, that really is a matter of perspective and opinion. Like, if you're coming into this with a stance of, like, being against moderation, like, you can easily be on a different side of the fence with that. I have seen communities that are not well moderated, you know, power-hungry admins. Sometimes the people who have the moderation power are not really in it to protect people. They're more in it just to be at the top of a community. Sometimes that happens, but yeah, you know, moderation can do great things if it's done right in the right kind of place, right? Moderation isn't bad, but bad moderation is, says Jupiter. Yeah, that kind of summarizes up a little bit more of my feelings on it too. So I've also had this comment of I get these statement comments of stuff that's just really untrue as well. I had one that caught my eye, and again, this is me like checking the comments on my phone. I like to do it from time to time. I like to interact with my audience, but for the last, since that video's gone out, every time I go to the app on my phone, I will have some form of stress coming my way from reading these comments. I don't particularly want to read those ones, but I do it. It's a bad habit maybe, and I think it's added to this stress that's just been winding up in my mind these last few weeks or however long it's been. By the way, Empress Kayuna, thank you ever so much for 3 months of support. Greatly appreciated. Chill stream time, yay. It really is. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to me. I just so needed to get this stuff off my chest. I didn't even know it. So yeah, I had a statement that was like, it basically said, we all know, and this is like not a great way to make a statement. You know, we all. Let's bring everyone in and assume we all have the same opinion. We all know that Minecraft isn't a game for children. Like, we have the statistics. And I'm thinking, come on now, what kind of cognitive bias is this? Microsoft have the statistics. They use the statistics as their strategy. I'm not sure how much of they've published about the audience of Minecraft, but it should be really darn clear based on how they run and advertise the game. There is a large portion of children and young people playing this game. I feel like if you have an opinion, get to the bottom of it, figure it out, but don't delude yourself with false statements around it. And I you know, I open it up and I read stuff like that, and it just makes me want to reply. Sometimes I do. But I try to reply to the comments where I feel like you made a good point, and maybe I've got something to say in return, or maybe I've now changed my mind a little bit. I prefer that. I prefer engaging with the stuff that feels more productive, I guess, than like, why deal with someone who's just sort of deluding themselves. But there's so much of it. And I've been really disheartened by how there is an incentive. And I'm going to say this carefully, right? I'm going to say I'm talking about people that I don't know. Other creators. I'm not saying anything bad against them. They have their reasons, their thoughts, their thinking, and you know, like, I'm not looking for drama. If it came down to it, like, I would just want to have a conversation with someone who does something like this. I'm not into throwing insults or judging other people, okay? But I have seen creators incentivized to pick up on attributes of what's happening with a tone for creating outrage. It was kind of the thing that was kicking off when I was finishing writing my script, and then that's why I decided to call the video the outrage of 1.19 or whatever it was. And again, this is another reason why that video is bad, because like, I kind of prefaced and changed the focus of the script that I've written by coming up with a title after it. So many learning curves with that video. Like, you really, if you're gonna do like a proper opinion piece, you need to really like knuckle down every detail, I think. But there have been statements exaggerated and technical issues that are clearly bugs and unintentional, you know. Some of these things that floated around, ridiculous reasons that you could get banned. I get that there is an incentive to point these things out, but the tone in which they've been pointed out kind of feeds into an unhealthy discussion about this game. And I really think it's important to not do it that way, you know. So currently, people think that there are profanity filters in 1.19.1, which there are not, and that you can get kicked out of the game for writing night on a sign, which you can't. People think that there have been permanent bans, and like, it isn't even out yet. Like, 1.19 isn't finished, and I feel like the correct way to have dealt with this is to report these issues on the bug tracker and not to use them for content. I mean, to be fair, if you do both, I think there's middle ground. I don't think you should rule out, you know, using this stuff for content, but just the tone of it is a little disheartening to me. I don't like to see the Minecraft community in this kind of state. And so I've been disappointed, but again, like, it's not an attack on anyone. I'm not throwing shade, nothing like that. I have no problem with these people. It's just like, you know, the way I would deal with this stuff is like a conversation. Understand what they're thinking, what they're doing. Talk to one another, communicate, right? And see where that goes before anyone assumes something. Because I've mentioned a couple of things in that direction on like some of the snapshot videos. Then I read my comments and they're like, "Oh, you hate so and so," and I'm like, "No, that's not what I meant." And it's probably on me because I've tried to throw in a quick little statement into a snapshot video, and then I've learned, nope, that doesn't work. You can't communicate like that. Long form. Curls was telling me about that, I think. Was I talking to you, Curls? I was talking to someone, and they just like enlightened me. It's like, you can't just do hot takes on these topics. You have to talk at length about what is going on, you know? Because then people hear the human aspect, you get to flesh out all the nuance and get deep on the topic and not oversimplify it. Because when we write a comment angrily because we disagreed with some video we watched, we do the hot take thing, you know? I think a lot of people have assumed the extreme and assumed that every error is finite. We all have to work together to make sure this is an update that is for the betterment of everyone involved. I like your attitude there, yeah. Definitely assumptions get pushed to the extreme. And they've been fueled, I think, by sort of these videos which I think are kind of misrepresenting the situation, especially when this thing is in development. You know, like, I'm really happy if someone disagrees with what is happening, but based on all the proper information, right? That's the way it should be. If you come down to thinking, no, I'm totally against moderation, that is okay. That's your opinion, but not on false premises, right? Like, that's the bit that really gets to me, is that it's so much of it is like false and erroneous, and on my part as well, because again, that video, like, I went and watched it back and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, you know, I sort of assumed everyone knew that these statements, because I did make statements about what the moderation would be like and stuff, would be me throwing out the alternative opinion, and it was just poorly put together. And another big point in that video that I think also didn't come across as much as I wanted to is that I saw that people were talking about like extreme examples of false bans, right? So this is the way that information propagates. The sensationalized news will spread faster than the dull stories. So the guy who came onto the server and said a bunch of horrible words to everyone and then, you know, got banned, and then did it again and got banned for longer, and then did it again and then got, you know, their account permanently banned. That's the story that no one talks about, right? You don't hear those stories. You hear the story of the person who went into the server, said something that's vaguely ambiguous, and then got banned forever. And that's, you know, so if the moderation team makes one mistake like that, that will travel further than the 1,000 times that they get it good. And this is my gut instinct, and you can definitely have a different take on this because I don't know, but my gut instinct is that most of the time, moderation situations will be black and white. They will be relatively clear cut. And then there will be a much smaller number of ones that are a little more grey, a little more towards the middle, and then maybe some that are very ambiguous in the middle. But it's those ones in the middle that we will get really hyper-focused on, you know? Anyway, I've said a lot. I would like to hear just dissenting opinions, right? Like, I want to hear some of you in chat who just listen to everything I said and still disagree with me. If you agree with me, that's cool, awesome. I've read some of your comments that have agreed with me. I would like to pick out some that disagree. Any of my mods that want to pick out some decent ones and just highlight them for me on my other screen, that would be lovely. Sally Ann 123, 80 months, cracking that big number right there. Dang, thank you so much, Sally Ann. Evil X be with you, right? Evil X be with you. Darker Man's 009. Or sorry, 099, thank you for 39 months of support. And Scorpy Love for 17, greatly appreciated. Why does X mine the obsidian? I guess it doesn't belong here and I want it all back. Also, humans have natural instincts sometimes that can make things feel worse than it is. I'm reading a book called Factfulness about it. I love that book, it's a great book. With a lot more fear-mongering videos coming out about the chat reporting feature, those might make people have a deeply negative view. Yeah, and I think like the majority of players are not going to be affected by this as well. Those horror scenarios will like affect such a sliver of players, and it's never right to go, that's okay. It's not okay, obviously, but you know, there are so many compromises and trade-offs. Like, we all agree to drive at, in this country, 70 miles an hour is the limit on the motorway, right? And people will die as a result of that every year from traffic incidents. Less people will die if we all agree to drive 5 miles an hour down the motorway, right? This is an example of trade-offs in society. And I don't know how entirely those conclusions are met, probably with the help of statistics and other various factors that go into decision making, and it applies to this moderation thing too. There are trade-offs, unfortunately. Okay, Dezombification says, my main concern is it feels like an overreach and opens the door to future and possibly overreaches. Yeah, so the slippery slope argument, right? Now, the thing with the slippery slope argument is like, what if it's not a slippery slope? And I'm not saying in this case it isn't. I just think when the needle moves in a direction, you can always call slippery slope at it. And I think it's a thing that really needs to be thought through. Is it actually that? For me, I can see that the moderation policies might change in the future and restrict language further, or the categories might be expanded. That is, I think, a legitimate concern here. But it feels like people aren't discussing what's going on rationally. We've got this outraged attitude at the moment where we're screaming in arms and Mojang and Microsoft are awful. So we're not having like proper conversations about what these categories are. You know, is this the right way to go about doing stuff? And so, you know, when it comes around to those things changing in the future, we're probably going to talk about it with outrage again. So, yeah, I get the point, and I think you have to ask the question of, like, is it really a slippery slope? In this case, I think it definitely can be there is a degree and it can get turned up. Good boy Kenji says, I think people were scared of private adult servers with more swearing that would be banned, but I feel as though Mojang Microsoft know that their audience has varying ages, and I'm sure the focus will be on abuse, harassment and grooming. I see no problem. Which I see no problem with. Yeah, same here. Hopefully they will have the nuance and understanding of what type of community they're interacting with. You know, maybe it would be nice if these server owners had the opportunity to communicate to the moderation. Like, let's say you have a server, right, and it can ping some information to the moderation team. So if ever they get something come through, they'll get some information about the community. Maybe they can mark their server as being for adults, and that provides some context to the moderators. This is all stuff that, like, needs to happen, or may have already happened. Like, there needs to be communication, both between, like, Mojang and server owners, and then to the broader community. Like, communication. Just more information, more understanding of the situation, you know, because some great feedback would be able to say, you know, that we need those sorts of things. Maybe they hadn't considered that, and the dialogue in our community at the moment is kind of just outrage, right? And it's hard to get those messages through when everyone's screaming and shouting, which is just, you know, unfortunate. Alt11 says, I think the biggest problem with chat reporting is it can't be turned off by server admins even if the server has its own moderators. Yeah, and it adds another layer of complexity into the situation. One of the big concerns I can see there, which I think, like, good intentions can be undone, right, when there is a history between players that is not expressed in a chat report. I could totally see a situation where, like, some moderator is given a player every opportunity to get in line, obey the rules, play nice with others, and then, you know, the final straw comes along and they're like, look, that's it. You know, you're off now, you're banned. And then some moderators looking at it and thinking, oh, this looks like abuse. They're just abusing their moderation power. I could see a scenario like that happening, and that would be one that I would be concerned about, you know? Joe did ask Mojang about adult conversations on private servers and was told that chat is not specifically monitored. That is correct. So another assumption that went round is that chat is not being monitored, okay? But chat can be reported. So as a player, you can send a report with the selected chat to Mojang, but Mojang are not actively grabbing chats from anywhere, right? They have to be reported by a player, and that's important to understand because there is a big difference between global moderation of chat and Mojang receiving reports. And again, it feels like, you know, there is an opportunity to kind of harvest the outrage a little bit, right? With those, with the way people are talking about it and the way things are being understood, and it's just not healthy. Right, any more? Because we've said a lot about this. I'm concerned about bad faith reporting, people who make false reports as a form of bullying and trolling. I've seen targeted people lose accounts on other platforms without recourse. True transparency in the process could address that. I'm waiting to see how it rolls out. That is a legitimate concern. That is one of the ones that I expressed having, I believe, at some point. Oh, yeah, glow liking can be waterlogged. Ooh. I'm gonna... No, that's not bone meal. Yeah, it is. That's a legitimate concern. That's one of the ones that I had. You know, I was like, alright, like, you can manipulate context, okay? That is a fair statement to make because the reporting tool cannot ever give the full context. Like, you can only report a certain amount of messages. You do not have access to the history between players. Sometimes that history extends outside of a server itself, right? So there is always going to be situations in where that can be abused. I do think it'll be one of those things that is probably a little harder to get by a savvy moderation team than not, but definitely a point of concern. Noxrat says, I just wonder how heavy should the moderation get? I think there's a level of moderation that could go too far, and by only shielding vulnerable people from toxic behavior or exploitation. What do we teach them when something is wrong so they won't be taken advantage of when they are exposed to an environment that does have these issues? I absolutely think young children should be protected, but I also wonder why some things aren't opt-in parental controls. I mean, the opt-in is like a top-level decision that Microsoft have probably made somewhere. You know, and I can't speak to that too much. But as for what you're saying about, let's read it a little bit again. I think there's a level of moderation that could go too far, and by only shielding vulnerable people from toxic behavior or exploitation, what do we teach them when something is wrong so they won't be taken advantage of? Yeah, so like the level of moderation, I think this comes down to Mojang's lack of transparency. They have made a huge mistake in trying to roll this thing out quietly. They totally misjudged the reaction and did not really read the situation very well at all before deciding to do that. And to be fair, I do think, You know, I'm saying they're misreading the situation and stuff. I do think it's kind of wrong to approach this that way anyway. I think they should have absolutely gone with transparency first, and not just trying to snuck this into a minor update. They've got that one totally wrong there, and I don't know at what level at Mojang that came from, right? If it came from up top at Microsoft or whatever. And the way they communicate this stuff as well, like through the technical details. Like when I was reading those snapshot notes and trying to figure out what this thing was, there was so little information. It was just technical. It's like there's a moderation tool, and this is what it, player chat reporting is now a thing, and it's all explained through like technical notes, and it is just a horrible way to begin to communicate with the community. So where all of the assumptions that tend to be the worst are propagated as a result, we don't really know quite what the moderation stance is. There's no given examples. There is certainly more information now from the beginning, but like it's hard to picture what exactly they're doing. And I also think a part of your point was saying that you can shield people from abuse, but are we saying that like part of life is learning about that stuff? Like, do we have to shield people from seeing everything, right? There's this concept of like being triggered, and that you can't do that because that triggers someone else. I don't really vibe with that. Like, I have my own personal triggers, things that upset me, remind me of stuff, and set me off. But I feel like that's for me to deal with. And so when I go out into the world and things trigger me and set off anxiety or whatever, that's for me to deal with. And let's say it's someone in your life you're close to, you should be able to talk to them and be like, hey man, this thing you're doing, you're saying, it sets me off, like, can we avoid that? Oh, that's cool. But like the outward projection of that, I think, is what you were getting at, right? Like that sort of that level of shielding, like someone comes in with maybe a bit of an opinion, a topic that some people consider to be triggering, and then they're shuffled off the server or whatever, banned for it. I'm not sure that it's a tricky one, but yeah, I think that's what you were getting at, and I tend to agree to some extent. Gross Junior 20 says, some of my friends and I talk to each other in a way in which we could be banned on a daily basis. That's why it's really scary, because we love each other in communication and in our own way. Yeah, like saying the C word here in the UK is like almost a term of endearment between friends sometimes. And like just out of context, it can seem so awful. And me and my friends certainly share a humor of like what might look like abuse. We joke about each other, I don't know, coming to an untimely demise or something horrible happening to us, and it's just our sense of humor. We totally don't mean it, but like it's our way of riffing with each other. And yeah, you could see that, but you got to remember, if it's two friends chatting, right, like you're not gonna report one another. I guess the fear is if you have a falling out, someone's like, right, I'm gonna use that conversation that we had and get my back at you. So these are all the problems that moderation teams have to deal with, I guess. Henrika says, I can see a problem with an opt-out system where if the bad actor is the owner of the server, they could just deactivate the report and be free to do anything bad in the server without others being able to report. Yeah, so when I first started playing Minecraft, I played on a server that had some bad admins that were very much the cool kids who love to exercise their admin powers, and were you in with them, were you not, and they totally abused their powers. I vaguely remember, I don't know if I got in trouble for this or if it was something, it's all a little bit fuzzy to me. I don't remember if I got kicked off or like, I think I just left but saw their behavior, I moved on to other things. But there was this incident where a large part of the world burned down, because back then fire spread could go on for like hours and hours, and it was near where I was building. I don't know if I got in trouble for it or anything, but like the game had this problem with fire spread and the admins got all upset about it. I remember that. They got upset. And it was like, it's just an unfortunate game mechanic, really, right? Oh, I see what's happening there. Walker76 says, I think this is just going to push people to communicate out of game on things like Discord, which makes the server's moderation job way more difficult. I don't think it would make it more difficult. I think they would know if all of a sudden references are being made to outside sources. It's then kind of like beyond their responsibility. What it might do is kind of, I was about to say curate. Curate's not the right word. Cultivate isn't either. There's like a word on the tip of my tongue. It's going to shape, right? But shape in like a, take the sting out, take all of the nasty words out of the chat. You're going to soften it all, right? Like the conversations on servers might soften, and then you go off server for the more raw conversation between people. Something like that could happen. X goes fully Billy Butcher on his free time. I don't know what Bully Butcher is. Smoothen. Nah, it's more of a word that signifies like not censorship, but like, I mean, maybe there isn't a word. Maybe my brain's reaching for one and it can't find it, but I felt like it was on the tip of my tongue. Curate is not quite it. Curate is more of a positive word in my opinion. But it will shape. Codify? Maybe codify was the word. I definitely thought it was a C. It kind of sounds like it would make sense, right? It would codify the chat. Am I getting that right? It would make it all PG-13. That kind of thing. I think codify is the word. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating in this conversation. I wanted to get that stuff on my chest for a while. I'm not sure like when and how. I think I might get the editors to throw that one together and put it somewhere online for everyone to listen to, because that I didn't know I was going to talk about that, and that's sometimes the best time to talk about something. And I felt like I wanted to get those words out for a while, picking up those comments and being like, oh man, just like this isn't it. Lucro says it will probably be on X Says. Well, Curls is listening, and Curls, you know the conversations we've had about that channel, so if you would be fine with something like that going up there again, then potentially we could do that. I could put it on the main channel. I could just try something totally different and put it up on the main channel, which may be the best space to put it because I need to communicate with that crowd. I guess I don't Curls, like what we're trying to do on Excess isn't exactly a secret, right? Like I can tell people. I think I might have already told people what we're trying to do there before. But if you let me know first, I would be more comfortable doing it that way around. I think it's a time for experimenting and trying stuff, and I feel like it's an important issue. So I might just put it out there as like a little mini Xisuma podcast or something. I don't know. I'll think of a way to package it and it will go up there. And yeah, I might just put it on the main channel actually, yeah. X, wait, before you leave, please spread the word that hope is alive in the power of love. This feels very important. The vibes though. I like that quote, but I don't think I could quite elegantly break it down and express it maybe as much as you have the passion for that quote. Unless I were to think and really digest over that idea, but I definitely get your instinct there. If you want to talk about it, go ahead. I got no problem with it. I'll organise the timestamps for this one. Thank you, Curls. Greatly appreciated. I mean, ending at 53 minutes. I don't know when it started. Pretty much straight waffle material. Minimal editing. Yeah. So. Ooh, noises. So with the Xisuma Says channel, I think the original clip format kind of died out a bit. I've also noticed that clips are sort of taking off a bit again on YouTube. It's making me wonder if like I should still use it for that. But we were going to use the channel to try and step into the edutainment space of creating talky videos about stuff. And Curls... Actually, again, it's like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, so I won't say it. But anyway, trying to change the type of videos on there. They're not going to be clips from streams. They're going to be this, that, and a third or whatever. But, yeah, so then I always get these like little instincts of like, oh, that was good, put that on the XS channel, and no, stick to the plan. And I do a lot of re-evaluating, and I really, like, really need to... stick to a plan sometimes, it feels like, but then you might be missing out on a good idea. The world changes, the landscape on YouTube changes, and this might have been an opportunity to put something there, but I feel like it would actually be better to communicate to the community and put it on the main channel. And I probably won't be able to look at the comments. I will be like, okay, this goes out. I am not looking at any comments because they really stress me out. And we'll talk about what else has been stressing me out. We'll move on from all of this. Boop Alive, thank you for your Prime subscription. Danior Dalassi, what a beautiful name. I probably butchered it though. Thank you for subscribing, my dude. 875 viewers. Thank you all for coming by on a Friday evening. I will probably stream again tomorrow and Sunday. I wasn't going to stream tomorrow, but then plans changed in a big way. Walker says, I really enjoy the excess content because it's from the back and forth of the viewers instead of just one person talking about an issue. Yeah, I'd like to focus on doing that more, getting those conversations in. I like the content too, but I needed it to perform, you know. I have to pay editors and other people to help me with this stuff, and you know, you got to look at it like you can't just sink money into this, and it needs to have, if I'm going to sink money into it, it needs to have purpose. So, you know, like that Elon Musk video didn't turn a profit, for example, and probably the next one won't either. And you know, maybe we'll get to a stage where it works. We click, we find the groove, and we get something going on the YouTube algorithm. That would be great. But I'm happy to invest in it because, to me, like the content is really well valued. Like it is, even if it doesn't perform, it's of great value. And I don't think the stuff I've been waffling about on streams kind of shares that. So that's why we stopped clipping streams. But now, you know, YouTube has been starting to push this stuff because they're trying to compete with TikTok, and yeah, it's like just stuff changes, right? Okay, let me look at my notes because I need to be able to do something and talk. It was very good to just do what we did. I got a small job there. I could just go around putting some black concrete in the rib cage. I tell you what I will do. I'll go rip out. I want to rip out the bottom of the rib cage. I kind of want to work on this, but it means that I got to find some like new temporary storage for all of that. There's no like secret place to put it around here. I've got some floaty stuff there that will eventually need to go. And then wherever I put this, it's going to get moved again. And I hadn't had the time to think about where I could move it to that could be a bit more permanent. So I guess like there's no rules in this place. I could just have a walkway that goes over there and goes into a secret room. So I just move all the stuff over there. I don't know. I think that's what I'll do for now. I'll dig out a space back there behind the black concrete, move everything over, and then we can work on this space. A nice, simple grind to do while not thinking about too much, right? Need to clear out some inventory space because we're going to move in a lot of items. And I think I'm going to start off with creating a little bit of a temporary walkway. And that should set us up for a nice little waffle. Placing chests, moving stuff around. Nice and simple, right? Right, how's my cup of tea doing? I'm gonna have the last sip, I think. Oh, Curls points out that it's not a secret. Yeah, so Curls wrote the script for the Elon Musk, and she did a fantastic job with it. And there's another one that I'm super excited to read about, but I haven't had the time. Yeah, so like working with other people is like a great way to get things done, and me doing waffles is nowhere near the value of someone taking the time to write a script, right? And that's what I've learned. But YouTube is currently incentivizing that kind of stuff, which is the other point I was getting at, you know? Right, my brain is like, don't place any blocks, get the stuff. Oh, dang it, now I fell down here. I'll just use an ender pearl. I'll just use an ender pearl then. Up we go. Where's the stone at, homie? There it is. Alright, so how do I even begin to tell you what's been on my mind as of late, right? So, I think we've identified that the stress began with the outrage video, receiving frequent comments about, you know, basically, people who disagree with me, some people are pleasant in how they disagree, others are not. It's obviously the ones where the less pleasantness is, you know, more likely to upset and affect, which it did. Clipped it, Becca. Okay, I'm also going to put like a bit of a rail here because the items are all going to ping out, so we'll try and keep everything sort of where I can pick it up and then move it over here. This will be easy to rip out again as well. That's about all we need. And then we need a big old space for chests through here. Let's check there isn't something... Yeah, nothing's going to be in the way where this is going. This is going to be totally temporary and stuff. Hi X, thanks for the laugh at your stream title. Oh, my stream title is no joke. I need therapy, and the stream is my therapy. I cannot tell you. And again, thank you everyone for coming by. Like, I really, really do appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Streaming has been such a beautiful experience. You know, in the past, I used to get a bit stressed out about various aspects of it. What was wrong with me? This is a great time just to hang out and chill and chat, and I get stuff off my chest. Y'all listen, it really helps. You know, I appreciate y'all coming by. It's nice to have some people listen. Like, everyone needs someone to listen to their nonsense in life, right? And when someone's telling you their nonsense, you know, be that person for them. Which is what y'all are being for me right now. Why am I organising this? It don't need organising. Jeez. What a goose. Love your waffling, says KK Euromina. You love the... Why don't I have a waffle emote? I need that. That could be so good. I feel like it should be me, like, perusing along, going blah 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 blah, and then the puka just, like, out the side of the screen just goes bang and slaps me in the face with a waffle. Puka, get on that. I need to be slapped in the face with a waffle. Dang. Beautiful. I clipped it, Becca. I'll smack that button. We might be able to, oh, that's a great idea. Maybe it isn't, maybe it is. It probably is through some means, but we might be able to get it up to the point where I don't have to press that button. Y'all can press it, but then we might have, like, I might press it when you press it and just create, like, too many clip files. We are being raided by the Impulse who left the game. I don't even get to say thank you. Oh, dang it. How am I supposed to say thank you now, people? Well, welcome over to the stream. Impulse, thank you so much for the raid. If you're listening, by the way, I shot you a message earlier on Discord, and I forgot to ask you about... We're going to use secret code here. Something that you eat. Uh-huh. It's green. It's small. It's round. Lots of them on your plate. Sometimes you have it with cheese. Now it's just no secret at all. Impulse will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, y'all have just joined me right as I'm about to talk about my stressful, like, last few weeks. It all started with the moderation video and being unable to deal with, like, some nasty comments coming my way. And we had a massive waffle about that, which I'm going to put on my main channel, I think. So if you are following me over on the main channel, some of you will be because you're from the Hermitcraft community. That's a video I'd love for you to see, because I just feel like I wanted to say all those things for so long, and we got it out, and it's all a good idea. I didn't know I was going to talk about that because I've been under so much stress these last few days. It's been like building up over the weeks, and like some just bizarre things have happened that have really like set me off and made like the last few days really hectic. And I feel like the one thing I really want to do right now is not deal with any of it and be in like my creative state of making videos, doing cool stuff with Redstone, hanging out with the hermits. Like, I like stepping into the creative space of being a creator, streaming, making videos, other things, making games, all that kind of stuff. But as the quote goes, life is one darn thing after another. You're always putting out those fires. You're always, that thing, this thing. Genius, thank you so much for 20 months of support. Greatly appreciated, my dude. Greatly appreciated. You're always putting out those fires, right? And that's what I've been doing like a heck of a lot of lately, to the point where I'm on the phone, I'm doing this thing, I'm finding old records, I'm just constantly like having to do stuff, and yeah, it's just been a bit much. So I also had like some medical issues with like injury and having to go to the doctors for some other stuff that stressed me out. So like I've lost that groove, I've lost that space a little bit, and I've just really wanted to be able to step back into it. And I very much enjoyed making some of the videos I made recently. I've been making one with some stuff in that you won't see for a couple more weeks, but like, God, it's been so nice to do that, and I just wish all these other things weren't a thing right now. But anyway, you know, I think I mentioned that I've been house hunting a little bit, right? And maybe not taking it as seriously as I would have liked to. But anyway, I've been shopping around, trying to you know, see what's on the market, have a look at some places. I think I just kind of decided like it's time to move, you know? And I think when you make a decision like that, semi-impulsively, even though I know it's a thing I need to do, you sort of invest in it in a way where it takes up your mental space and your mental energy, and I have been so like drained because of that, because as things start to unfold, my mind has just been spinning around with all the if, buts and maybes, and today I got to sort this thing out, I got to ring that person, talk to this person, right? It's been like a bit stressful, whereas it might have been a nice experience. So, yeah, it just started out kind of innocent, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go house hunting and look for somewhere. And then it got quite serious all of a sudden. And it was like, hang on, I need to like make this work, right? Like, I need to now like figure out numbers and what I can do, what I can afford. And I've been crunching the numbers the last few days, and it wasn't what I thought it was. And I'm looking at being able to move to this particular area that I want to move to, that's close to family and has access to a train that goes to London and the countryside. And man, like so much of this is big life stuff, right? Big decision making. And I feel like I didn't really perhaps fully grasp the gravitas of how big a decision I was starting to make, right? And that led to me being stressed out, without realizing it. And you know, the last couple of days I really crunched the numbers, and it looks so tight to do. Like, while the cost of living is going up and we've got concerns about inflation, it looks possible, but it could just be so tight. And it changes your lifestyle. Like at the moment, I can afford to go on some, you know, periodic holidays throughout the year and not have to worry that much about how much I'm spending on shopping or whatnot. You know, I am not a person of excess. I'm not going out there spunking my money all over the place or anything, right? But like, it's a factor in life that, you know, gives you stress and whatnot. And it looks like, you know, moving to this place would just be so tight, and then the future is uncertain, and then you know, your money's now tied up in property, and the property has historically gone up, but that could, you know, the future's uncertain. It could go down. It could be a bad decision further down the line. All these if, buts, and maybes, and it's all rather stressful, and you got to figure it out and make a decision. You know, adulting stuff, right? And I've just stepped into that headspace without really realizing it. And tomorrow, I was supposed to go and look at a property that looked really idyllic, right? The price could always be cheaper, but it you know, I could squeeze this one. I could possibly just about make it work. And it's in the right location. It's got all the right layout, size, you know, near to other facilities, all that kind of stuff. And I was really, like, today, it was just going over it again and again in my mind, trying to make up my mind, do I want to do this? I haven't even looked at the property yet, right? Seen pictures of it, seen the layout, all looks terrific. Like I said, right location and stuff. And, you know, making a big decision. And sometimes life is about making decisions. And sometimes the decision is just to stay put, right? And it's all very difficult stuff. But earlier, before this stream, I got a phone call saying that the house has received an offer, so I can't go look at it tomorrow. Would have been nice to maybe say, can we see it anyway? Like, just in case something falls through, get an idea of what you might be missing out on. Because now I've got that. My brain loves to worry, and I need to get it into a space where those worries are, like, you know, away. Like, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And now I might worry about this in a new way, where it's like, oh, what could have been? What if I had got that house? I'll never know. That's the time for counting your blessings. That's when you're like, okay, can't get locked into thinking like that. But anyway, you know, I've been looking a lot, and like, it's not been a case of like, oh, I could go there or here or there or here. It's really been like, a lot of this stuff is close but not quite right. And I saw this house earlier in the week, or last week. God, the days are flying by, right? I saw this house where it was like, this looked really good in the pictures. I was going there with this feeling of like, this is it. This is like the right price, and it was cheaper too. Dang, if that house were right, it wouldn't have been tight. It was a lot cheaper. But anyway, yeah. So I go there, and it's like, oh man, this is not what I thought. That might have happened with this other one, right? But dang, I'll never know. I think I'll be okay with that eventually at some point. We'll continue the story in just a moment. Mooka245, thank you for 2 months of support. Geordie7859, thank you for gifting a sub to Impulse for 13 months. Impulse probably isn't there, but we appreciate Impulse and all the support with the raid. Chapter Cory, 24 months, 2 years. Wow, I can't believe how fast time fly by. Words difficult. Life has been pretty hard the last week, and I had to deal with medical issues and hospitals, but I'm glad to catch a stream again and chill out. I'm glad you're here chilling out with us, my dude. I've had a bit of a tough week, but I don't think I can complain, you know? Oh, God, I'm looking at a house to move to. Nothing like being in the hospital, is it, my dude? I hope you're better and doing well. Moomin Trolletti, thank you for 2 months. Sorry you're feeling stressed to have some of Bezos' cash. Thank you for using the Amazon Prime on me. Take that, Bezos. One less. One less for you. You filthy trillionaire. God. He's not a trillionaire. Don't say that to him, though. He might get upset. Docmaster, thank you for the Prime. Mark New, thank you for the cheers and bits. Saying, rates will go up. Make sure you guard against it when you take out loans. Yeah, I know how to factor in all that stuff, my dude. Thanks for the heads up, though. I've been, like I said, I've been crunching the numbers, looking at how things work. It's such a huge commitment. And there's all these other factors and elements, and you know, because you can do a bunch of things in a bunch of different ways, and I've just been juggling all these ideas about what to do, and it just puts my mind into this state where, you know, you're trying to fall asleep and you're calculating the price of a mortgage, and it's not a healthy place to be in. And a while ago I was in a bit of a groove day to day. You know, I didn't have these worries, and these worries need to be addressed, right? The worries don't have to be entirely valid, but like, they need to be addressed. And something happened along the way, which it just feels like the timing of this was just too much to handle. But yeah. So currently, I'm now sitting at like I've pretty much looked over all the properties in the area, and I don't know. I don't think there's anything I really want to go look at. I'll probably find a little bit of time on Sunday when I'm hanging out with the family to, you know, have a look through it again. But it kind of looks like I've looked at everything around, and I'll go back to like tentatively looking occasionally, which I've been doing for a while. And my concern is like the housing price bubble just keeps going up. Like, what if this is like a train that never stops? You might really just one day be totally priced out of moving to that dream home or whatever. And I've wrestled with the idea of building my own, and it just feels so like out of step with my areas of competence, you know? I just don't feel like I'm the sort of person that could put that together. And so I do eventually want to move on from here, where I'm currently at. And I feel like the world around you pushes you sometimes, like there's inflation and housing prices are going up, and it makes you like, oh, I need to act now. Maybe that's not the right attitude, right? Maybe I need to focus on what's available right here, right now. I don't know. This is why this stream is called I Need Therapy, because I know I come in here into this wonderful space that we have, get stuff off my chest, and just, you know, see where it goes, see what comes up. Mark New, cheers. Oh, wait, we read that one. Thank you again, Mark. Appreciate it. Zach L16 is here with the Prime for 11 months. Take that, Bezos. One less again. One less again. Oh, Curls and Lucro, thank you for passing on the messages from Impulse. Appreciate you doing that. X, do you own a webcam? Says Half Ken Site. I think I got like 4 or 5 webcams from over the years. Some of them are old and cruddy. Wait for the crash, my dude. It's coming soon, says Shiznet. People have been saying that for a long time. Yeah, you know, maybe that's what I'll do. It's all, you know, I really don't know. It's big life decisions, right? But anyway, the other day I really hit like what I would call a low, like a difficult thing in my mind. Now, this isn't depression. This is more like when these problems come to the forefront of your mind, you can really like think about them a lot, right? You can really worry about what's going on in the world with inflation and you know, you want to move, can you not, like what's going to happen. So this podcast about time management came across my way and I thought, that's great. I want to get better at time management, right? And it started off by going into these issues that I've sort of dealt with myself before, like fear of missing out, or looking at life and the opportunities that you have in front of you and the things that you could do or haven't done. You know, it's really easy to think, and be careful like with what I'm saying here. Don't get sucked into the negativity here like I did, but it's easy to think about all the possibilities that life could offer you, and yet you're doing this, and you know, there's a whole world of extravagant things out there that you're not partaking in, you're not doing. And this really like tripped my mind into the old thought patterns reignited. I just mulled over in my head over and over again about like, am I doing the right thing? Am I hiding from myself? Is this really what I want to do with my time? I want to move. Like, am I not taking it seriously? And later on, the podcast, which I didn't get to listen to all of it, I got the bit that set off the absolute panic attack. And it wasn't until I got time to listen to the rest of it later on, after my mind had gone mental, just like I crushed to a low of just overthinking and taking everything that's going on and just like picking it apart. And this is like the old me. And I learnt not to think and look at the world like this. And then the podcast comes round. I'm so glad I actually jumped back in with it, because I was like, I like, surely this thing's gonna offer me some wisdom about everything that's just said. And it's like, it's almost like it reminded me of my previous problem, and then reminded me of all the things that I've learned over the years that sort of, you know, ground you and make it not a problem. And I got through the rest of it, and I actually really enjoyed it once I got past that hump. I was like, yeah, these are really great lessons and ways to think about time and opportunity and whatnot. And I really paid for it though. I went through just like an absolute state of panic, I guess, over all of that. It was really tough. And it felt like that podcast and that topic came along at the perfect time to like catch me off guard, but also give me a sense of like I'm reevaluating everything right here, right now, as I'm trying to make a big life decision. Like, this just feels so pertinent. So yeah, like it talked about how like there's all these things that you are missing out on right now. You are not skydiving, you are not visiting that country, doing this thing, and these are the sorts of thoughts that can race around in our mind, right? You have one life, and every day there's just so many things you could have done that you're not doing. I'm saying it now, knowing that it's gonna upset some of you out there. So like, let me bring it home like they did in the podcast, right? Like, there is an alternative way of looking at all of this stuff. That the odds of you actually being alive to begin with are so infinitesimal compared to all the other sperm that could have fertilized the egg, all the other possible combinations that can make a human being be alive, and you won the lottery and you get to exist and you get to experience time and life. And you can look at it from that perspective and realize how lucky you are. And so there's also this thing of like, there's all these other things you could be doing, right? All these infinite other options that you may have missed out on. But really, life is such a miracle to begin with. You know, like, everything's a blessing. Every opportunity. Even if it's like, oh, I stayed in and lounged on the couch today. How many gazillions of potential lives never got to do that? You know, it's all about perspective. And being able to see the rationality in ideas that are much more helpful to you than the ones that just induce anxiety. It's not productive to be in a constant state of anxiety. And some of these other ideas are far more fruitful ways of looking at life. And it helps you be content with the simple things. It made me realize how much I like being close to my sister and walking her dog for her and stuff. Like, little things like that make a big difference. I don't know, like, if my days would be quite the same without seeing his gorgeous little face. And he licks my nose to death every morning. It's so cute. And yeah, just things like that. Like, you know, these there's a world of incredible lives and extravagant things, but they're not quite all what you see, you know, like, oh, I don't know, I'm really just waffling off, right? So what I feel, let's read this noise and then get to my conclusion on this, because I am just losing the plot. Scorpy Love is here with cheers and bits, says, I'd love to let you know that you're the reason I joined Twitch and I made so many friends in the 2.5 years that I've been here, so thank you. I hope you find peace soon. I love just listening to whatever it is you talk about. Thank you so much, Scorpy Love. That's a lovely message. I'm glad you found friends here, and thank you for those biddies. Appreciate ya. Appreciate ya. You are definitely no nihilist, Dex, but it's normal to question meaning from time to time. I was once a total nihilist, a total misanthrope, believe it or not. Funny story, but that's one for another day. Graveyards, thank you for 3 months. Whoop whoop. Hope everyone's having a good day, and if it isn't going too well, I'm sure everything will get better. Stay positive, you beautiful people, and I'm so glad to be a part of this wonderful community. Thank you so much. Graveyards. Graveyards. Everything is a blessing, but try saying that to yourself when you're in the middle of a panic attack. It's important to be compassionate with yourself, especially in the stressful times. Yes, life is good, but sometimes it gets too much. Every individual has limits, and so do you. Growth also means to learn to respect those limits. Thank you, Carls, for that. That's very insightful. Yeah, that's you know, when I was a more anxious person prone to... I never really called them panic attacks. I think the reason I would call it a panic attack now, what I went through, is because it was quite sudden, then temporary, and then back to normal. Whereas I just generally felt anxious a heck of a lot of the time. But what I learned over the time is that you hold on to those good ideas, those helpful ideas, those perspectives, and the more you like engage with them, the more you come down from that anxious state quickly. So in the back of my mind, I knew I'd get to this point right here where we're hanging out, chilling, and it's all good again. But that doesn't get you there, like, you know, any quicker. It does with time. Each time it happens, you get there maybe a little bit quicker. But like, the knowledge of that, like, doesn't quite get you there. But you know, here we are. Now we're here, and I knew this would be good for me, this stream. So yeah, one of the other things though is it wasn't just like a case of about the house. It kind of set off a load of alarm bells of like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be just playing Minecraft and streaming every day? And oh my god, I need to travel. I need to go see the world. Like, stuff like that. And it's just really unhelpful way to think about anything, because it totally disengaged me from how much I love this space. And that's why I said earlier that I really just wanted to get back to doing the video stuff that I've been enjoying as of late. And it made me realize that I had this momentum where all of those, you know, life is just one dang thing after another, and all those little jobs that keep piling up, big life decisions, which I've still got a few on my plate to make, and I'm sure it's going to be a bit tricky and stuff, but you just want to get to that space where it's like flow from day to day, and you know, there's not a lot of stuff on your to-do list, and you're just engaged in that space that you love. And I've experienced a lot of that this year, and I really want to continue doing that. I love it. And I've got ambitions to kind of step out of what I'm used to doing a bit and do some other stuff as well. And I'm pretty keen to get on with that now, because my mind's just been flipped all over the place, back and forth. And it's weird. So yeah, like the world is full of stuff that you could be doing, but really you want to like maximize what you are doing and find the love in it and hold on to that. And I kind of really feel like I know what direction that points, and I just want all this other stuff to be over and get back into that space again. And yeah, and deal with my little list of things to do every day. Be content and count your blessings. And part of me wonders, like, you know, is that just trying to like swing back from this state of questioning things? But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe when I'm back on that routine and it's normal again, it might just be a little bit. I don't know. Those thoughts might creep around again. But yeah, everything really just kind of sort of one thing after another with all this housing stuff, looking at mortgages, crunching numbers, trying to make big decisions. It's really just kind of piled up a bit, and I've still got some big decisions to make over the next few weeks, but I got to balance them now, because I'm not going to go look at that house anymore, and that probably means I'm not going to go look at many houses for a while now, as I've pretty much fished out all the ones that I was interested in. This other idea, as I'm assessing all the things that I could do, something else came to mind, right? So I primarily want to move to be closer to family, and you know, my family have talked about moving in that direction so that in the future we'll all be close together and spend time together and whatnot. I'd be taking that step, you know, sooner and earlier than everyone else, but I'm happy to do that if it's like turns out to be the right thing for all of us. But it's to have a bigger space. Like the idea is that I would be the one who can accommodate everyone coming around and having Sunday lunch or whatever in the future at some point, you know, family gatherings or whatever, however you want to see it. And yeah, so I can't do all of that where I am now. It doesn't work out. Like there's no space here for that. But I kind of realized, like, maybe I can just change things in the house. I started looking at the house. Like, I thought about maybe rather than move, I could get an extension, which actually sounds like a terrible idea considering how costly it is. I kind of thought it would be cheap. Nope, turns out it's quite a lot of money. Doesn't really add value to the house, so probably won't do that. But Becca says party around exes. Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, I haven't seen my friends as much as I wanted to for quite some time, and my house is just not suitable for having parties or anything because there's just all this gym equipment everywhere, right? And I started to think about maybe getting some different equipment, maybe trying to like move things around and like, what if I can do this? What if I can do that? And I'm now starting to look at the house a bit differently and seeing space where I didn't see it before. For example, right, I was investigating my shoulder presses, right, and you know, I swear I heard this wasn't a thing, but I swear I heard that what am I doing? The shoulder press is great, right, with a barbell seated. And then I'm looking at the form, just evaluating that the other day, and because you know, I got concerns about picking up some injuries. Let's check my form, make sure I'm doing things good. And apparently the shoulder press seated, not good. Do it standing up. Well, I can't do it standing up because you know, I'm tall, I'm 6'3", and the dumbbells bounce into the ceiling, which I don't want to do. So then all of a sudden I realised, hang on a minute, the stairs. I can use the staircase. So I go up there and there's like an easy spot to stand. It's not really actually risky based on the shape of the stairs. And now I can press up into the sky and there's nothing up there to hit. And I've had that in my house for ages. I could have been doing standing shoulder presses and whatnot for a long time, right? Another problem I have is that my pull-up bar is in an awkward space where it's low to the ground, so I kind of have to tuck my knees in a bit if I want to do pull-ups, and I'm aware that this is like not particularly great way to do pull-ups correctly. And then I realized, well, if I create like a bit of wood that can go across the 2 big steps on my staircase, right? Then I have a big flat surface. I could do my dumbbells there. I can put a pull-up bar on the wall easily. I might have to be careful about which one I buy so I don't like walk down the stairs at night and smack my head into it. But like maybe I can put that there, right? And I'm starting to look at the house differently now. And I think what I'm going to do is try and, if I stay here, I think I'm leaning towards staying here at the moment rather than moving. But I can rearrange things and try and get more of what I want out of life, not by moving house, but by just changing what's going on here. I could buy some furniture so that I have sofas, because I just have one chair in front of the telly, and I like, whenever I eat, I sit on it, eat my food, and then that's it, you know? So if I can get rid of some of this big gym equipment I've got, replace it with something smarter, smaller, I might rip out a radiator, like, you know, and like move the television around, and then all of a sudden I've got a big space for like a bunch of people to come around. I could put a table in the middle, we could have gaming nights, you know, like, oh, I want to do that with my friends, and I haven't been able to. I haven't been able to be like, party at mine, because it just doesn't work. And I want to change that, and maybe I don't need a new house to do that, right? You can come a very long way with 2 adjustable dumbbells, a pull-up bar, and a very good heavy bag. What's the heavy bag for? Just general picking up and moving around? Yeah, anyway, that's like X getting excited, says the meta engineer. Yeah, thank you again everyone for just letting me waffle. Like, I just so needed to like get this off my chest and think about it a bit. I'm definitely coming around now. The fact that I can't see that house is like, you know, I'll have another look through, but dang, maybe I'll just make living here work and spend a bit of money on the house. I don't need to do any redecorating. But I could buy some furniture and rearrange things, and like what else could I do? Like, I like the idea of a gaming setup, but it's so simple because I've got a Stream Link thing. I can literally just stream my computer, which does, you know, Doom 60 FPS, 1080p, whatever it is. Like, I've got like a pretty good gaming setup just through that. I could maybe get myself a PlayStation, like a new one, but I don't really play that enough. But anyway, you know, like things, because my friends are all into gaming. I'm like the odd one out. And like, you know, doing stuff like that with them would just be great. I don't know what else I could get. There's probably a bunch of cool stuff you can do, right? But like, I want to make this place a place where people can come, you know? Yeah, heavy bag for heavy boxing, punching bag is great for cardio. Yeah, I wanted to get into doing a bit of that. Like, I wanted to get a bag in the garage and turn that into another bit of a gym space, because at the moment it's just an absolute tip in there. I've got other people's junk in my garage. I'm not into gaming, says the professional Minecraft player, says Ryfrost. It's true, but actually, I am into gaming. I'm into game design. I love puzzles and redstone and game design. I'm a creative. Like, I like, you know, remixing, reshaping, coming up with ideas and making them happen. That's what, you know, we do every episode of Hermitcraft, right? That's how I'm a gamer. I can't sit there and just play games all evening. Like, I don't know, shooters or whatever. It just doesn't do anything for me. Puzzle games, God, I can play those. I've been playing a lot of that Hex Cells. That's been providing me with some stress relief. Just like, I turn on the music for that game and just like zone out and like focus on the puzzle. And sometimes I do it in the evening and I make lots of mistakes, and sometimes I do it in the morning and I'm like quite sharp. I noticed how your mental acuity is really good in the morning. So yeah, anyway, right, chat. Ideas for my house. An extension I don't think will work where I'm at. I would love a bigger kitchen though, and there's a bit of reworking I could possibly do in the kitchen to give me some more space. So Jake is saying that him and his wife move things around from time to time. Yeah, I've done that several times over the years, like, you know, getting some rooms carpeted or redoing, like, I redid my office at the beginning of the year, and it does feel good to change things up, right? Party tent in the garden. I tell you what, I could do with getting a pagoda, like, not a proper pagoda, like a, how can I say, like a sort of temporary one, you know, one that you put up with the plastic poles. It could be another material, I guess, but plastic poles and fabric, not a like fully built wooden one, because stuff will grow on that, and I don't really like gardening that much. Well, actually, I do like gardening, I just don't have the time for it, I guess. I like that kind of stuff. Gazebo. That's it, gazebo, not a pagoda. Yeah, gazebo, that's the one. So I could get a gazebo, yeah. Like, my garden, you could probably fit quite a few people in it, but I don't have any chairs and garden furniture, and my garage is full, and I can't store it there, but that could change. Open room design, maybe rip down some walls. Unfortunately, I can't do that. The walls of the house are important to the foundation. Rarely people ever think about shelves. Most people think about the floor horizontally and not the walls vertically. I have shelving and stuff where it's needed, but I don't have a lot of stuff to put on them, so. For a kitchen, you could try Atta. I could get my kitchen refitted if I wanted to. I don't think that doesn't make sense to me, but now that I know that like moving doesn't seem feasible at the moment, and hopefully like things will change in the future, so that I'm not priced out in the future, but yeah, I could just look to my own house to make it a little better and do some projects here and there. It sounds really nice. Secret basement. Can't get a basement built. If you want creative ways to work on fitting functionality into space, check out People's Tiny House Solutions. There can be creative solutions for regular spaces as well, says Smarty Paint. Yeah, you're totally right. One of the things I want to do with the gym is get a smarter gym equipment. Like, I've got a big multi-gym, and I don't use a lot of it anymore. Like, I don't really use the fly press or the leg press, and I've learned to do different movements differently. I also saw the physio, and he put in some really interesting ideas into my head about having goals for my training, and since then I've like changed up my training, not massively, but I'm now thinking about it all differently, and I think I want to get down to the gym and like work with a personal trainer and like work on form and stuff, but definitely like really like got me rethink. I mean, it's one of the things that made me hunt down this house, like take this house stuff really seriously. It's like, it kind of also made me think, well, you know, there's fitness and physical goals, but like one of my goals is to move right now, and I'm not really taking it seriously. So I started to step things up. Check out PewDiePie's old gym setup. He trained in a closet and basically it worked out fine. Yeah, you can do a lot with some dumbbells and a bench. I really liked, I saw that, I caught a few of his videos because I'm into that stuff, right? So a guy like PewDiePie's talking about it. You're like, I hope this guy talks about it right and handles it well, and he did. And I really like that he sort of pointed out, you know, everyone knows he's a millionaire, but all he needed was just a bench and some dumbbells, and you can get started like that. X, do you have a balcony? I don't, and this is not the sort of place where you would, like, this is not the sort of house where you put a balcony on it. Renewing the kitchen and bathroom could increase the value of your own house at some point down the line if you look at moving again. Plus, it makes the area nicer and welcoming, says the life of L. Yeah, definitely really taking that seriously now. Like, I've very quickly highlighted simpler stuff that, you know, like having a bunch of sofas so that friends can come around and, you know, do stuff together. But like, yeah, I could even, you know, redo my bathroom. All I have is a shower. I don't have a bath, and it's not the prettiest bathroom, but it's not like run down or anything. But I could renovate it. Yeah, definitely lots of food for thought. My dad made a log cabin at the bottom of his garden that he now uses as a gym. That's cool. My garden isn't big enough for a log cabin, but that is cool. Replace all the plugs. My sinks don't have plugs. No, wait, one of them does. Oh, no, 2 of them do. What am I on about? Don't have plugs. My kitchen sink doesn't have a plug. And I brought one that fit it. In fact, I brought several that didn't fit it. Plastic little plug to put in, right? Finally found the one that fits, and then I lost it. And I was just like, oh, whatever. I'll get on without. So when yeah, I don't know if this is... Actually, this is probably not a great thing, but like when I do the washing up, most stuff goes in the machine, right? But a few things need washing up by hand. And, yeah, I just leave the tap running, right? You know, I do things quickly and I don't leave it running for ages, but I pretty much just wash it under running tap water, which is probably wasteful, right? I don't know, like, I don't know how much water it takes to fill up a sink. It might actually be less, because I only wash a few things up at a time, but yeah. Too much sofas is crowded, but sandbags are more fun and comfortable. Sandbags, eh? You get people sitting on sandbags. Actually, do you have any advice for not getting bored when you work out, like inside? Because the only way I can is if, like, manual labour, like wood chopping or something. I can't do that as often as I like. If you find workouts boring, like, oh, I can't be bothered. Like, is that you're actually bored of it, or is it more like because doing resistance training and whatnot is hard work, your brain is going to find a reason why you shouldn't do it, right? Like, so every time I go to work out, my brain will start thinking about, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. Oh, look on your phone, get distracted, do something else. And it's like, yeah, you're just trying to get away from the workout. So like, is it that, or is it genuinely like, okay, I'm doing these workouts because I have a reason to do them. I don't know what your reason is. And you just find it dull. Because I really enjoy it when I'm into it. The physical fatigue, just the feeling of it, I love it. You know, they call it the pump, the exhaustion, whatever it is, it's like, I love it. So, for me, it's not boring, but it's not, like, exciting. It's just like I focus on doing the thing and it feels good. Ek Funny Bones, thank you for your Amazon Prime subscription. Appreciate it so much. Take that, Bezos, take that. We got another one. The Thinky says, do you have much land around your house? Have you thought about making a nice area outside the garden yard? No, unfortunately, like, expansion-wise, I can't really, like, buy up land or anything. So, yeah. Yeah, that's not an option. I mean, you know, like, you never know what the future holds. When I brought this house, I talked about this before. Okay, and if anyone saw that terribly edited video on on Xisuma Says channel I deleted, like, here's why. I was trying to say something, and because it was like a bunch of waffles pieced together, it came out really bad. But like, I thought that the housing crisis, and when I moved over here 2016, right, and I first learned of the housing crisis and understand that stuff probably when I was around like 19, 20. I had my first job for a couple of years, and I was thinking, or I wasn't thinking about moving out, but I was kind of aware, well, that's what happens next, right? And I felt like I'm never going to be able to afford this. So we're talking like 2009, 2008 kind of time. They were talking about housing crisis. So if you think there's one now, there's been a housing crisis for a long time in terms of affordability. And the thing that I learned was that it didn't actually affect me. Like, due to where I am, due to where what my circumstances are, how much I was earning, etc. Once I changed my behavior and started saving money, which I didn't do for years, I then got to a point where I kind of went, maybe I could do this. And I was so cautious when I first moved out to this house, and I could have done it totally differently. Like, I could have taken a bigger mortgage. You know, you don't know what the future holds. And so I sort of took, I didn't look at a lot of houses. When I decided to do it, I was like, I just want to get out. Like, when I realized, you know what, I can actually do this. When I was comfortable with the risk, I just wanted to get out so quick. And luckily, I saw a really good property early on, right as they dropped the price, because they were motivated to sell it. And I just took it. It was like the third house that I looked at. It was like the second day of looking, and it was in a neighborhood that I knew. I knew the type of house because we'd lived in one like that before. It was a good build. I didn't really need to be told a lot about it. I was just like, I'll take it. I'm gonna do this. I remember having a day where I was walking out of my driving test place where you do the written test, and I was so stoked that I passed my written test. I was doing life stuff and getting it right, and I got a call. They've accepted your offer. And I think it was one of the first times that I'd ever just sort of like, I hung up the phone call, and like there were people around or whatever. I was walking down the street and I just went, yes! And like, you know, like fist pump in the air, and just was so happy. I was like, dang, like that's it. Like, this is happening. They've accepted the offer. But, you know, now that I'm here where I'm at now, and I've lived here for years and whatnot, and I've been paying off the mortgage and all this stuff, like, I kind of realized that, oh, I could have maybe brought the house that I wanted. I could have shopped around for longer. I could have done things differently then. You know? And that's just life, I guess, right? You never know, but how much you avert to risk, I guess, is a good question. Like, I'm feeling the same way about, well, I can't move to this house now, right? But I was sort of feeling the same way about the risk of taking out another mortgage and like it being really tight to do. It would actually be a bigger risk, I think, way bigger risk than what I did moving here. But like, it's that feeling of risk aversion. So another thing is like, if let's say this house hadn't been sold, I went there tomorrow, it was the best thing ever, absolutely doing this, then I would just be living like really tight for a long time, for quite a long time. I mean, a mortgage is a huge commitment, right? And that would be like living quite tight and lean, while the cost of living is like constantly increasing, and there's inflation, and you know, what's it going to be like? Like, let's say it happened, and then 6 years down, because I've been here for 6 years. Like this month, been here for 6 years. 6 years later, am I going to be like, oh, what was I worrying about? You know, could I be in the same situation again? But the one thing is, if I stay here, you know, that I'm not on taking a big risk or a big commitment, and that worry is not on my mind. And so, you know, this is life. There's all these like things, ambitions, and this and that, and variables, and you got to try and weigh them all up and calculate them. And I think maybe it was a blessing to not actually go see that house and whatnot, because, you know, life is about making decisions, and I think it's important to make decisions, but sometimes the decision is to stay put, right? So all of that I've been through has now engaged me with this process up front. And maybe the outcome is that I realize, hey, actually staying here right now is okay. Focus on that thing that you love and make some changes here and there. And maybe that'll work out and that'll be okay. You know, maybe in 5 years the housing crisis is over, the prices have crashed or whatever, and moving is going to be reasonable and things will work out. Maybe not, but like, if I was stuck here, it wouldn't be the worst thing ever, to be honest. Like, we're not that far away from family, and my sister lives down the road, which is really cool. My parents live across the other side of town, and I can walk there, I can cycle there. Was this an impulsive decision, or have you been wanting to move for a while, says Shiznet. I definitely been wanting to move for a long time. When I moved to this house, I knew it wouldn't be the last place that I would live. Like, I knew I would eventually want to move on. But you never know quite when that is, right? And I think even after, you know, if I do make up my mind and I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay here, that's what I'm going to do, I think I will still tentatively look from time to time just to know what's on the market, and definitely pay attention to the market, because if the housing prices crash, it might make it easier to move. You also got to sell your own property, and your property crashes as well, so you never know quite how it works. But housing prices feel massively inflated. Like, in the time that I've lived in this house, the value of it has increased by... let me do some quick number crunching in my head. Maybe 20%? Hang on, I'm going to get a calculator just for a second. Like, so you take the number, you divide it by 100, and then you multiply it by 120. Oh wait, what the heck did I just do with this calculator? Let's start again. it just spat out a number that made no sense. I'm like, I must have pressed something wrong. Sorry, divide. So this is how you do numbers, right? Take the number, divide it by 100. That gives you 1%. Multiply it by 120, and now you're looking at 120. Oh my god, it's north of 100. Okay, now I'm really curious. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm going to do one more calculation, and then we'll get... I should put on that amazing Be Right Back screen. I'm actually still here, people, but while there's nothing going on, let's look at our community's beautiful builds. Look at that. Oh god, that's epic. I am actually looking at it, even though I'm also using a calculator. Right, divide by 100. Let's multiply it by 25. Yeah, okay, it's not as much as that. I reckon it's about 22% then. Divide 100 times 20... No, 122? Wait, what the heck? Oh! I've made a mistake. I'm not good at using a calculator on stream. It might actually be north of 25% then, so... Oh my god, it's slightly north of 25... It's like 26, 27%? That's mental. In 6 years. But what's weird about that, right? So, like, you got to think like this. That sounds great, but like it's relative to all the other housing prices, right? So, if the prices crash, the money in your bank that would go towards like your... Oh, dang it, sorry, I forgot. The money in your bank that goes towards... Did it come back on again? Cheeky. This is Stream Deck. These buttons are naff. The money in your bank becomes more valuable if the housing prices crash in terms of getting a new mortgage, right? By the way, is anyone watching? Like, stop talking about mortgages and adult stuff. It's so boring. Play Minecraft. Find a creeper. Get blown up. Tunker out. Thank you for 3 months of support. That's Snowball. Thank you for the Prime. Night Sport. Thank you for 15 months. Appreciate you ever so much. Yo, why are you talking about mortgages? Ugh, so boring. So yeah, so that's why like, I guess to some degree I can't move at the moment because, well, you know, if that house was, you know, an option, right? Anyway, I think you're getting the point. So if the housing prices all crash, then the money that you have in the bank can buy you more of a house, essentially, right? So even though the housing price has gone up 27%, it's like you need a place to live, so it's always going to be exchangeable for another house. So unless you move to somewhere where the housing prices didn't move over the same time, like, you know, you're sort of trading oranges for oranges, essentially. Wait, did we empty all of them? Not yet. Topics like this are interesting because schools don't teach us information, says Amags. Yeah, they don't, and I'm glad you're interested in hearing about it because it's something people should know. Going back to that Xisuma Says video and the whole thing about the housing crisis, like affordability, there is an affordability crisis, no doubt. But it is possible to know that, think it applies to you, and it actually doesn't, which is what I went through. Because I could look back and go, I could have moved out years earlier. I didn't understand any of this stuff until I had some savings and started to think, what if I can afford it now? Like, it was so long ago. It was 6 years ago, actually. But like, I don't know what started me off on thinking about it. But it might have been my parents. Like, they might have been like, look, we think you can afford this now. You know. It might have been something like that that got me off on it. I don't know how my mindset changed. It might have been gradual. It might have been my parents telling me that I could do it. But it happened. It happened I think it was more gradual, but like I realized, hang on a minute, I can actually do this. And this is why you need to know about like how mortgages and house pricing and all that kind of stuff works, because there is a crisis. There shouldn't be a crisis. I'm not saying it's okay or anything like that. It's just that, you know, you might hear about this stuff and not realize that actually it doesn't affect you the same way, because it doesn't affect everyone equally. Becca says, "Oh, that's how I first move out. My parents telling me to get out." My parents are very like loving and you know, just warm and caring people, and you know, they would never tell me to get out. Like, it would always just be like, if I just went, "Hey, I need to come live with you for a week," they'd be like, "Okay." Like, they're just, you know, their house is my house kind of thing, right? In Australia, there have been multiple huge housing companies that have gone bankrupt. Huge issues here as well, says Rebellion Ranger. Yeah, I mean, there's also Evergrande in China. I have a passing interest in finance and whatnot, which I have been vaguely interested in with the retail boom over the last couple of years. But I've kind of learned, like, it's just, I don't really have the stomach for that whole investing and all that kind of stuff. It just makes me worry, just like, so I'm not massively into it. But there was a period where I was following it and like learning about how there's all this stuff going on in China and the housing market might collapse and yada yada yada, and being an adult and, oh, let's talk about the economy. God, the economy. I remember some advert from like TV years and years ago where it was like some blokes at the bar, and like this guy's like, "Oh, let's talk about the economy," and then the other geezers come along and they're like, "Oi, Pufter, you're boring," or something like that, and then in come the arrows, I think, and it's like, "Drink Strongbow, be a man." I think it might have actually been a Strongbow ad, I don't know, but I always remember that. It's just like, talking about the economy. But now I'm like vaguely interested in it because I like want to know how the world works, and that's basically a big part of understanding everything, right? Mixed up content has enjoyed what we've been talking about in these streams. I'm glad you have. Night Sport resubscribing 15 months. Thank you so much, my dude. Appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Don't clip that, says Becca. Too late, press the button. Right, I don't know where to start with this because everything's like dark and grisly to begin with. We need blocks up the top. That wouldn't actually be a bad place to go right now considering how it's laid out. So let's fish out some blocks. I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, I kind of want to go like a little bit longer than usual here. I'd love to chat and waffle, but I do have some commitments. But here's the thing. I've been while I'm juggling like all these big time commitments of dealing with mortgages, looking at houses, crunching numbers, talking to people, I also really want to get to a place where like I have more air quotes free time, but it's about having the time to do like something that's maybe in the moment or cool or just for the sake of it, right? Like, I was chatting with the Hermits and talking a bit about, like, you know, meeting up and recording together. And we're all suffering. I say we're all, not everyone, like, but at least those of us that were sort of, you know, vibing off of each other on this or whatever, like, suffering from this, like, weird thing of, like, gotta make a video. And it makes it hard for us to coordinate when to hang out. Yet when we do, we have, like, an absolute blast. And what you got to do is think about your time differently and be like, these are my friends, I like hanging out with them. When there's an opportunity to hang out with them, forget the video. Like, just, and I want to get to that space, you know, just forget about it. Because I did that with Corrales and Zedaf recently, right? It was like, I had all these thoughts racing around of like, gotta do this, gotta do that, oh, I might have a bit of time here, might have a bit of time there, and I was like, it's just not gonna work unless I'm like, let's hang out. And I'll forget that, you know, I was planning on working out in an hour and then making my dinner. I'll just do that later. And we had like an absolute blast. And so the mentality gets in the way of like really cool stuff. You know? That's a place that I want to get to. I've got to speak to some mortgage people. I've got to, I don't know, I've got to feel like I've maybe already made up my mind that, dang, I'll just stay here. But like, you know, I still got a few more things to be taken care of. It isn't over yet, but like, dang, I can't wait for that to be done and get to this place where I work on my little projects and then a hermit can call me up and be like, yo, X, we're doing this. And I'll be like, I'll drop it and come along. Because that's the sort of mentality that I want to reach at the moment. Oh, interesting. What am I doing here then? Because that is the end of that little bit. Let's go look at how it worked out when we were on the other side. Yeah, so there's like this lump that comes round. Okay, if I know it's a lump, that's fine. I can work with that. Mayschool in chat. Welcome, my dude. Rukia9898, thank you for subscribing. Anonymous, thank you for gifting a sub to Matt C. Sully, appreciate you gifting the sub, my dude. Thank you. Hey, I won't be able to keep watching the stream, but please can someone explain briefly what happened? So, Sir Jemin, I have a whole bunch of therapists here. You're all my therapists, and we just had a big therapy session, and I feel so much better. So thank you, my dude. Thank you. I don't know if this will look as good as the other side. I guess it kind of has to, because that merged at the same level too. Yeah, I wonder if we can have some real talk about the Hermitcraft series itself, because all this stress that I've been going through has been making episodes a bit wild. You know, you saw my goof earlier with the portals, right? I'm really starting to feel like I want to find like a new approach to Hermitcraft and episodes. And I can kind of picture some stuff in my head. Like maybe getting away from making episodes like I normally do. And maybe like focusing on a different way of talking about the adventures that we get up to on the server and whatnot. It's sometimes it's hard to make big changes like that. You're used to doing things a certain way. It kind of works, but I feel like maybe a change is in order. And I want to look at how I create videos differently too. But I feel like those ideas are not as well formed at the moment. How have you been dealing with the insufferable heat so far, says BB8? Well, that portal stuff, that happened on the day of the heat. So from that perspective, it was pretty rough. Pretty rough on Tuesday. But they weren't actually that bad. I was really expecting it to be bad. I decided not to work out. And in the morning I probably could have. It was like not too unbearable. And when it was at its hottest, it seemed alright just sitting here with the fan on. Although there was this moment where I needed to record. I've run out of black concrete, haven't I? There was this moment where I needed to record, so I turned off the fan. And then like, it took me a bit longer to record than I thought it would. And I was sweating buckets. And then I put the fan back on, and then I was like, oh, I'm okay now. Oh wait, I only need black dye. Why do I think I need white dye? Where do I keep the dyes? Over here? That's the spot. Gravel and sand, right? What are you doing in my base, you filthy zombie? Right, Crazy Frog 29, thank you for 2 months of support. I like how Joe and Impulse have been creating on stream. It keeps the videos a bit more loose and collaborative with the audience. Yeah, you know, I do some air quotes of that, you know, what are we saying in air quotes, like creating on stream. But usually with me it's like I do some sort of grind and then later on I comment like, hey, this grind's been done, and that's kind of it. Yeah, but experimenting with that, creating stuff on stream is kind of cool. But my streams are so different from my YouTube content, right? Reefy like a leafy. Joe Duggan! Web to subscribe. Thank you so much, my dude. Appreciate ya. Welcome all the raiders. Lily Eye Lil is... Oh, I can never say your name right. So sorry. Thank you for 4 months of support, my dude. Greatly appreciated. If you set a noise gate, the fan doesn't interrupt your recording. That's not really true. A noise gate is a suppressor for loud... Wait, where am I going? I'm supposed to be over here. For, like, cutting off the input based on the threshold. So you don't actually get rid of the fan noise. You just... It doesn't set off the recording ambiently. Where'd that zombie guy go? I can hear it moaning still. You were wandering over there. Probably to 0-0. That's where it was going. Welcome all the raiders. I was about to talk about a very different topic. More just wanted to like express my ignorance to something that's like potentially quite serious. So I heard that the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the NFT thing, is a bunch of Nazi dog whistling, and I find the term dog whistling a little bit off. Sometimes where I hear it like being used, it's like, didn't Joe Rogan got accused of dog whistling to kill homeless people or something recently? It tends to be like in situations like that I hear this term. But anyway, what's dog whistling, says Lucro. I want to find like a video or an explanation on it from someone who's like, I don't know, done a lot of research in the know or whatever, because I keep hearing about it in a way where I'm like, I don't know about this. So I hear that the Bored Ape Yacht Club thing is like a Nazi dog whistle. God, I'm unable to focus. We need a crafting bench. So I'm hearing that, and I decided to go like look into it and find out like what the claim is and you know how serious it is and what it is and whatnot. I found this video on YouTube by a guy called Philion, I believe. It seems to me like it's the big video that everyone's drawn to. And the video, like the tone of the video, the way information is explained, conveyed, etc., etc., it has some real conspiracy theory vibes to it, like a lot of stringing together loose connections and vague references, and I don't know like how to weigh up all of those things. When you watch a video like that, like when you string together this thing after another, like it can be really convincing, but you have to remind yourself like, well, a lot of these things are sort of like, I don't know, like half-baked ideas or connections, and a lot of it like requires some intent as well. Like if this is their intention to this thing links to that, then okay, yeah, I guess it would, but how do we know that? So there's like the actual logo of the thing itself looks like the Waffen SS logo, and it made me think like, I've seen that in metal music, I'm sure of it. I've seen like bands reuse that logo, because like metal will be like confrontational and deal with like dark topics, and often misunderstood as like glorifying it, where really it's like a lot of metal tends to say this is what humans are capable of, right? Put it in your face. Like they talk about the worst of what humans do as a sort of theme of the music, which isn't for everyone. But it's not like pro-Nazi or anything. Ryfrost says a subtly aimed political message which is intended for and can only be understood by a particular group. It basically means a word or phrase meaning changes depending on if you get the reference or not. Yeah, so I find the nature of that. That's how I would understand it and probably express it. But I find it like, all right, so if you're like aiming a subtle message that only your little crowd will understand, it just feels a little bit like what's the purpose of it? I mean, I guess they're signaling to each other in some way, but like obviously it tends to happen around stuff that's like not great, but it just, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a weird activity. Anyway, so I looked into it, and like there's definitely like occasional things that seem, yeah, okay, this is like linked to that, but the whole vibe of that video just reminded me of conspiracy theory stuff which I have brought into in the past, and it's like you just one little statement after another strung along, and a lot of them are like not really anything. It's like the Let's Go Brandon thing, says Chicken Fox. I don't think Let's Call Brandon is a dog whistle. I think that's a cultural expression. Like they were clearly saying one thing and the reporter said they were saying something totally different and people just ran with it, and it's a way of like expressing themselves. The idea is that this is like, I don't know, subtle racism being communicated across something big to each other. I don't know how serious that is. And my skepticism here is not me trying to diminish or downplay anything. It's just like just trying to understand it really. Like I said, I really want to hear someone make the case on dog whistling. Like, why is it dangerous? Why is it bad? I think it'd be really good to hear that argument. Because not a lot of ideas pop to my mind really. It's sort of like, well, if you don't know about it and they're dog whistling, like, what does that mean? Like, you see something, you don't know there's a message in it. If you look at it and go, oh look, there's a message, then like you possibly already identify with that or something. I don't know, it just feels a bit weird. It's like Nigel Farage saying things that are racist and xenophobic to appeal to his followers but go unnoticed to the casual listener. Yeah, I can understand that. When you bring up someone like him, I can understand a dog whistle in that context, yeah. But anyway, I didn't watch all of the documentary this guy made. It's an hour long. I watched about half an hour, and it started getting deep into some cryptic puzzle stuff, and I was just like, I'm not entirely convinced. Like, they've found loose links for the names of the people that created it, and I feel like when you rack up a lot of if, buts, and maybes, I don't think it's a great idea to jump all the way to the conclusion. Like, they definitely had a lot of like, oh, this thing links to that and that thing links to this, but like that's maybe not the best reasoning. Like, you need something really solid. But you know, boo to Nazis, of course. Like, that stuff's terrible. We don't want racism and those kind of ideas in our society. It's quite sad if it's all true and that they did all of that just to put that message out there. But that again also seems really weird. Like, if you're a racist, like, why do you want to put that information out there in such a vague, abstract way? Found it all like a little bit just odd, but haven't made up my mind on anything. Just yeah, I learned of that and had a little dive into that while I was doing my morning routine and stretches and stuff. Watched this video and I was just like, I don't know if I'm quite like getting this. In the US, white supremacist groups will put out messaging that seems so generic that the average person wouldn't know what they're being fed racist propaganda. It changes the ideals of their audience and can have the altering effect of thinking to a more racist ideology. You see, that to me sounds totally like something they would do, but that doesn't sound like dog whistling, because dog whistling sounds more like sending a signal that only they can understand. So it's like, how does that change people's minds or whatnot if like they don't actually understand what the thing is, I guess. But yeah, I might be missing the point. That's what is interesting. One example is to use the phrase family values in the United States to signal Christians that a candidate would support policies promoting Christian values without alienating non-Christian supporters. So, for example, LGBTQ rights, equal marriage, adoption rights, etc. They would oppose these things but convey whilst using a dog whistle such as family values to suggest children need a father and a mother. Also lends into racism. So what you said right there, I totally get, and I totally understand your point. It ain't right, you know. But I don't know. Something about the phrase dog whistle just doesn't like add up to me, I guess, because it feels like you articulating that out loud. I guess maybe that's just it. Like, maybe I just don't really get the phrase, and so I don't get that's what they're trying to say. Because in that sense, I get it, that that's a dog whistle. I wouldn't choose to describe it in such a way myself. I would just articulate it like you just did. But maybe that's because the idea confuses me a little. So yeah, maybe that's what they're trying to do with this Bored Ape stuff. It just feels so strange. I can understand it with something like family values a bit more, because it is like a bit of a loaded term. It sounds sort of inclusive and wholesome and right, yet what you're actually saying is my idea of what a family should be, and that is exclusive. Yeah, exclusive? Excludes. It excludes people. It's exclusive. Interesting stuff. Loaded term is a good way to put it. Yeah, loaded term is a term that I am actually like, my brain's like quite fond of. No, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, I find it's a valuable thing to know what a loaded term is. It's like you can throw a loaded term. You can ask someone a loaded question, where you sort of, maybe you ask someone to defend themselves over that racist thing that they just said, but they didn't actually say anything racist, or something in reverse. You know, like essentially you ask someone a question, but you bake in an assumption with the question that you're asking. Just got here, what are we talking about, says Ryan Cat. I don't know. Bored apes. We're talking about bored apes that are on a yacht or something. NFTs. What? Minecraft NFTs? Yeah. God, Mojang are against Minecraft NFTs. Thank goodness. Yeah, I noticed a lot of people saying the timing of that is like, oh, now Mojang come out, they're against NFTs, right? I reported. I have some contacts at Mojang, and I was like, this is filthy. And I sent them to a service that I stumbled across that takes Minecraft seeds, mints them as NFTs. So like the Hermitcraft seed had been minted and other ones. And it was just such a, like a scammy, dodgy, I don't know, speculate, buy into the hype, low effort thing. And I just thought, this is just disgusting. I'm not really one for reporting stuff, even when I see terrible stuff. It's kind of like not what I do online. I just focus on my own thing, right? But I saw this and I was like, oh. And that was months ago. And so I doubt it was me alone. I imagine they got told a whole bunch of times about this. But some people are like, oh yeah, now Mojang come out about NFTs trying to save face. And I think, well, you know, that's like, you have to understand, you have to know what their intent is, and you don't know what their intent is. You're not in the boardroom meetings. If some Mojang employee comes out and leaks that they did it to save face, then that's probably what they did, right? You know, we can speculate if that person is then lying, but you know, let's say we just believe they are telling the truth, like then yeah, okay, they did it to save face, but until you got like a bit of evidence to say that, then you don't know. And it was something that had been going on that they've been reported to. Timing doesn't really help them, but this is like the conspiratorial thinking that I talked about a moment ago with the Bored Ape stuff. It's like, you don't always have to come to a conclusion on this stuff. And a lot of the time, things are just out of your realm. Like, you're just not going to know. So like, did they do this to save face? Well, unless they tell us, we ain't going to know. And you can have your hunch, your suspicion, but you can have that and be wrong, right? And because I personally reported it to someone, you know, I've got that thing in my head that's like, the timing's convenient, but like I also know that they would have known about that beforehand, so who knows, right? I don't need to have a strong opinion on that one. Farsi in chat. I find it interesting how not many people know what NFTs are, but many companies are doing them, whereas most people know what crypto is, yet many companies don't support it. That's interesting. There's definitely a broader adoption of NFTs. I think the problem with NFTs is that they tend to suit certain types of industry really well. You know, like fashion and stuff, and I don't know, collectible type consumables kind of really vibe with the NFT stuff. But here's the thing, I saw this like legal breakdown definition of how like an NFT contract works, and what was interesting about it is that you don't, like, the non-fungible token doesn't actually contain the information of the thing that is supposedly non-fungible. So like with the Bored Apes, if you have a Bored Ape NFT, you don't have the NFT of the Bored Ape. This is going to get confusing. Hang on, I'm also confused by what's going on here because I'm placing blocks in a couple of different places. You sort of own a reference to it, like it has to refer to the image somewhere, and if the place that it refers to disappears, like the website goes down, then you own an NFT that, you know, relates to that. Super weird. The problem with NFTs is that they're exclusive. Mojang Minecraft put out a press release statement on them a couple of days ago. Yeah, they did. And I agree with what they said and their reasoning for it, right? I feel those are pretty good grounds to reject NFTs. I personally, you know, with crypto, with NFT and all this stuff, I'm very interested in the technology. I listen to people that say it has potentially world-changing practical uses, and that's what I want to see. I want to see, like, you know, innovation and great things being done, and it's just really not manifested, and that's been a real disappointment. And unfortunately, it's just been like scam after scam after scam, and you know, this NFT stuff can revolutionize supply chains and this thing and that thing, and it's like, okay, when is it going to manifest? Like, when are we actually going to see it happen? Because it's just not happening, and that's you know, like from a technology perspective, it's still a piece of technology, right? It's how you use it, and it's just not seeing it used right. It's disappointing. And hopefully, you know, this big crypto crash will, and I say hopefully, like, gosh, some people have lost their life savings on this stuff. It's terrible. You know, there are victims here, but hopefully, you know, this flushes out a load of that nonsense and maybe lets the good uses of this stuff come through. That would be something we can hope for, I guess, you know? That maybe one day NFTs will have some actual proper value, you know, providing actual value and services, and however you want to shape it up. But right now, it's just not looking healthy. NFT is a contract for the use of an online URL. If you buy it first-hand, but once it's sold to a third party, you're not the owner of the contract anymore. That might depend on the specifics of, like, who set up the NFT, what system it's on, etc. I don't know. But yeah, you tend to own a reference to a thing, right? Because the blockchain doesn't have the information about the thing. You just have this reference to it, and it's just a bit, oh, okay, you know, like, that's interesting. Blockchain has so much potential to decentralize things, but still maintain something everyone can agree on, says Moom in Trelay. Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not seeing it really used for a lot of that stuff. I did know of a couple of examples of things that it was being used for, but I haven't heard much news about them because just everyone's talking about the crash at the moment, so I'm sure there's bits of it here and there that have been done practically. I know of some good people that I listen to on a podcast that used NFTs to create access to certain events and things, and so owning one, they would give you value back, and their intentions were just to, like, try and use it in a positive way, which is really cool. But you know, those things seem a bit far and few in between. Just joined the stream. What's this therapy stuff about? The therapy session is over. I'm sorry, my friend. It's done. Finito. Done and dusted. I'm all over it. You know, all that stuff going on in my head. I'm hoping we'll walk away from the stream. I'm going to make a few notes, priorities and stuff. Think about the next few phone calls I'm going to have, and handle those, and then maybe over the next few weeks things will calm down. We'll see. We'll see. Clyde says, how do you feel? How do you find new people for Hermitcraft? What's kind of the process that goes with it? I think that is a question for another stream, my friend, because I was like, hey, let's pick out one more message, but I'm wrapping things up, I guess. So, thank you for joining me on this wonderful stream. That helped me so much. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow morning. I might take a break. Like, I got things to do. I don't know, but I'll be back again sometime soon. And right now, I'm finding a channel to raid. So be sure to hit that follow button if you enjoyed today's stream. And thank you to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated, and cheered. I appreciate all of y'all's support. Thank you to my mods, the patrons, and the people gifting the subs. Y'all are appreciated. And we're going to go raid the one and only Music Man because we're listening to his music. See if you're like, damn, today, that music, there was such a jam. God, where did that music come from? You're about to find out. Anyway, I also have to shoot, so please tell Malcolm that I am, you know, getting off the PC. I've been on here for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and that's too long for my little mind. Anyway, I've said all the things I needed to say. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.